Good evening, Facebook.
Hello, everyone. It is Saturday, October 25th, 2025. We hope you're doing well. We've got a list of things we want to talk about tonight.
We do. It's been a busy couple weeks. I don't even remember the last time we made a podcast, even though I think it was it last weekend or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
So 2 weeks ago.
So we are going to be talking about Volusia County Commissioners meeting in DeLand, Florida, Tuesday, October 21st at 4 p.m. Then we're going to be talking about Jessica, Saxton, and Tanoa's tour across the nation and their citizen report survey. And then we're going to cover my Washington, D.C. trip with Mark Ludwig, November 4th, with his team for Title IV reform. And then fourth, we're going to talk about my new Illinois appellant case that I finally, after 5 years, have the ability to do. And then finally, I'm going to address my daughter, Bianca Elizabeth Serlick, who just turned 14 today. So, Pete, what was your experience on Tuesday?
Well, so Tuesday, you, me, and nearly a dozen other folks met up at the Volusia County government headquarters in DeLand, Florida, and took the opportunity to address the Volusia County commissioners during the public speaking portion of the meeting, where any citizen is allowed to speak. The meeting itself was interesting. There was quite a bit of old business, call it. So there was a lot of people there to address the commission based on something they voted on at the prior meeting, which was to eliminate a bunch of funding for the arts programs in the county. So, of course, for all of you guys that signed up to speak, kind of got pushed to the end. They did have Tanoa and one other guy, I think, were able to speak in the first part. And that kind of got the commissioners kind of didn't know what hit them, if you will. And then all of the mothers and one of the fathers were able to speak in the public speaking at the end of the meeting. And everybody gets 3 minutes. And, the pretty powerful stories that were told.
Yeah, so I'm a trained public speaker. So for me, public speaking, especially in front of government officials, is not really that big of an issue. But the topics I've always covered as a scientist are water quality concerns, environmental concerns. I've spoken out very much as a kid for teachers protesting in pay, supporting our teachers. So this was much different for me as a public speaker because I'm telling my own heartbreaking story, my children's story, in front of all of these people. One of them I've spoken to as a scientist in our communities, and that's Jeff Brower. So I have spoken to him, and I had his sign in our yard. So I'm a huge supporter of Jeff Brower. He has a lot of concerns for overdevelopment here in Volusia County, Florida. So I've spoken to him multiple times about different environmental policies and concerns with the overdevelopment. So to stand in front of him and switch from a professional standpoint to talking about personal issues that I'm facing here in Volusia County, it was definitely nerve-wracking, to say the least. And then the commissioner's attorney was making quite the spectacle for most of the entire meeting. Even before our group spoke, he was laughing and just having a nice little side chat throughout all of the public speakers at the beginning.
It was pretty disrespectful in general. I mean, disrespectful to the county commissioners too.
Yeah.
This guy, he is the appointed attorney for the Volusia County Council. So he's not the attorney for the county. He's not anybody's individual attorney. He represents or he gives legal advice to the council. And this guy was just sitting there laughing. He not only did he laugh at you guys, but he was laughing at the folks that came to speak
About
on the arts funding that got cut. He's just sitting off to the side, having a ball, and
Not doing his job.
He was basically called out 3 different times by the speakers.
Yeah. Adam called him out. Jessica
Basically,
Saxton called him
Adam
out.
turned to him and said, "Can you shut up? This is not your time."
In the middle of him speaking, Adam stopped to address this attorney.
Then Jessica called him out.
Yep.
And, if you've watched any of Jessica's videos, she has been doing this for a long time. She has spoken to a lot of different local governments, and she doesn't usually get rattled. And this guy got under her skin, and she turned to him, said a few things, and then, the chairman was trying to redirect because you're only supposed to address the council, not any individual.
Right.
And then as we were leaving, after everybody in your group said their piece, you actually stopped right in front of him because he was still laughing.
Yeah.
And
right in front of all of us.
You called him out. So.
Yeah. As I was walking past him, it's not like I went out of my way to walk past him. I literally walked right past him. So I stopped.
The council chambers is not that big.
Yeah. So I stopped and I literally said, "We pay you. You know that, right? We pay you. And you're just sitting here laughing and it's just so disrespectful." And then I just walked out. So 3 different people addressed this commissioner attorney. And it was definitely disheartening to see someone that's paid by the public and paid quite a bit, actually. I looked up his payroll from years prior.
This guy's getting well into the 6 figures, like $250,000 a year.
2019, his reported pay was $253,000.
Oh yeah, so he's getting more than that now.
Oh, absolutely. So him getting paid, to be a member of the community, work for the public, and to make a spectacle like that, it was just ridiculous.
Now, with that being said, do we want to show Jessica's video?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
give me a second
Let's
here.
bring it up. So Jessica Saxton released 3 different videos for Volusia County. Part 3 was Adam, and I forget his last name.
Might just have to pull it right from her.
And then it included Janet Pottsick and I believe Tanoa, and maybe Jessica at the end. So that was part 3 of 3. Part 2 of 3 was a longer video because it was a compilation of all of us that honestly, I was shocked how similar our stories were.
Which one do you want us to show?
So if we're talking about Jessica calling out the attorney, that's going to be part 1.
There we go.
Yep.
All right.
And there's a photo of him and everything. Make that video big so everyone can see it. There we go.
To support and defend the Constitution. And you think it's funny? Sir, you think this is funny? Because I don't. It's disgusting what is happening.
I don't know what you're saying.
Because you don't care. Because you don't care. Because you don't care.
How do you know that?
Because you literally just told me that. Because you literally just told me that you don't know what I'm saying. My name is Dana Honestad, and I am the founder and executive director of Survivor Center. I am here to provide notice. This is accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedure, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 from the United States Supreme Court. We are calling for a formal investigation into the family court practices and support for expanding advocacy services. As Mr. Downing was talking about earlier, regarding the indictment by information issue, we have a very similar issue going on in family court and in juvenile court. Our work has revealed systemic problems in the family court system. We have today a lot of affidavits. And when I leave here today, each of you will officially have been served with these affidavits of criminal conspiracy against judges that you are paid. I'm here to ask you to take a stand for survivors of domestic violence and demand accountability in our family courts. Federal Code 18 U.S.C. 4, that is misprision of felony. And what that states is that whoever, now having knowledge of the crimes that are cognizable by any court of the United States and does not as soon as possible report these crimes to a civil or military authority, could be held liable. Survivors are still fighting for safety and custody in courts for years, highlighting the urgent need for judicial accountability and checks and balances. We are calling for a formal investigation into the family court practices and support for expanding advocacy services. This is prima facie evidence of crimes that have been committed by the judiciary that you are paying in this county for unlawfully removing children from parents who have spoken here tonight, on your record, in this court of public opinion. Survivors are often re-victimized by the very process meant to protect them. I'm sure somewhere around here, if we did an audit, we would find a budget. We may be able to uncover some more criminal actions.
So that didn't actually have the part where she was calling him out, did it?
Yeah.
I'm zoned out.
Zoned out there. Yeah, no, she literally called him out and she said, "You think this is funny?" And then he literally says, "I don't even know what you're saying right now." Yeah, because you're having side chats and laughing and not paying attention. That's why you don't know what we're talking about right now. So yeah, so that was part one. That video was released today. Then she released part 2 yesterday, and then part 3 was released Friday. So she rolls them out in 1-day increments. So yeah, part 2 is very powerful. Honestly, several of the people that spoke, I did not know their whole story. I knew parts of it, but hearing them in the moment,
you know, the parts of the story that overlap with everybody,
right,
is just it's an indictment on the system and how broken and corrupt the system is, and it does not actually protect children. It destroys families, is really what it does. It is built to destroy more families than protect children.
Right. Yeah, and it's all revolving around money. Everybody makes money. The longer families stay in the family court system, everybody's making money off of each other. No one is putting the children's best interests first.
That's part of why I'm getting a little ahead of us, but part of your upcoming trip is to
Title 4D reform.
address where the money's coming from.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
we'll get into that a little bit deeper here in a minute.
Yeah. So I want to touch on Jessica Saxton and Tanoa Downing's tour. So Jessica Saxton's tour is the hashtag Justice Without Limits, and then Tanoa Downing's hashtag is We Shall Be Free. And so Tanoa focuses on the criminal activity, where people are incarcerated for wrongful reasons. There could be plenty of reasons why people are in prison and jail for wrong reasons. But ultimately, if anyone's watched Orange is the New Black, it's because these jails and prisons are for profit now. So the more people you have behind bars, the more money the owners of these prisons make. And it revolves around money. So Jessica's, movement with this kind of coincides with Tanoa because, like Adam, Janet Pottsick, she was jailed without a jury, an indictment, anything in family court because
and it wasn't
interference
even
with child custody, and
she
it wasn't even her kids.
Yeah, she wasn't even one of the parties of the case. She was just a friend of the father.
Right. Of Troy. And, hearing Janet and Troy speaking separately, it put the story really in perspective. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize, how similar but different her and Troy's story was.
Well, then the other thing, too, is, what they pointed out, because they have... they had the same judge that you had.
Yeah.
She has since been removed from the Daytona family court.
But is still on the bench.
She's still a judge, not necessarily representing family court at the moment. I think we found out she was moved to probate court, which she can still ruin people's lives there, too.
Yeah.
But
she could be in anything, including small claims court.
Troy and what's her name? Janet. Sorry.
Pottsick.
I'm not good with names today.
There's a lot of people that we're learning, memorizing names of.
When they told their story, like they were saying how their Judge Upchurch had numerous emotional outbursts, walked out into the hallway outside the courtroom and threatened to throw the people in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, just people sitting in the public
So
area of the courtroom.
do you remember my very last conversation with Upchurch before she was removed from my case?
When you threatened to take her to federal court?
Yeah. Well, I've done that several times now, but I just kept
I mean,
repeating.
it's not a threat. It is a factual statement
Right.
of something that is going to
absolutely.
happen.
Oh, absolutely. I've just been building my case stronger and stronger. The more evidence I can have of what these people are doing to my children and I, the stronger my case is. So, that gives me a level of confidence when I do finally serve them with those federal complaints out of Middle District of Orlando in U.S. District Court. I will feel very strongly that I have a strong case, and they're going to have to scramble to try to figure out how to get out of it.
Yeah.
But no, the very last thing I said to her, because it was still revolving around my driver's license, it was that very last hearing where Alan Holt had submitted saying, there's no point in having this hearing because her driver's license is already suspended. And so I went to that hearing, and of course, for whatever reason, Justin was there and then was complaining he was there. And it's like, it sounds to me, Justin, like Mommy Mary Serlick is forcing you to go and you don't want to be part of it. Well, last 5 years, you could have walked away from this insanity, but here we are. So yeah, I was telling Upchurch, I just kept repeating, you are violating my constitutional rights right now. And then she just kept saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like,
Yeah, but
it's not a feeling, it's a fact.
Hearing some of the stories, because there was at least 3 or 4 of you that all had Upchurch.
Yeah.
And look, folks, I am 100% positive there are even more parents out there that have had problems from the judges in the Circuit 7 court here in Central Florida area. But these, 4 of them that happen to meet up to address the county council are, at the point where, they've got almost have nothing left to lose. They are telling their story because, the way the system is set up, your options get limited on what you can actually do. The judges will sit there and say
media to cover it because they're covering all the judges and attorneys.
When you're trying to do the right thing and the legal thing and go through all of the legal steps, one, it takes forever because they have systematically designed the system to be as slow and complicated as possible. And then the other thing is the judges, they just make up stuff. They literally just make up their own rules.
Yeah.
One of the big things that has been essentially a law that's been created by the judges themselves is the idea of, to modify anything, you have to have what they call a material and substantial change of circumstances.
Change in circumstances. Crystal Kopak knows that real well.
But when you point out to them, okay, this changed, and this changed, then they'll sit there and say, that's not enough.
That's not enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's there. That is very clearly. I'm coming across more and more people that are saying they are refusing to modify this ex parte
and so then the question becomes:
order.
If that's not enough, Judge, you tell me what we have to do. Oh, we don't give legal advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other thing you'll hear from them.
Yeah.
And it's mind numbing is what it really is. And there's no. Half the rules that seem to be, presented to the parents in family court are not actually part of any statute. And then when you do actually point out a statute to them, what was Upchurch's response?
I'm not familiar with that Florida law. Therefore, I'm denying your request.
Mind you, there's a computer sitting right next to her at the bench.
Isn't it her job?
If you're not familiar with something, do you want to take a minute and look it up? Like that was mind blowing.
And that was our very first impression of her. That was January 8th of 2025. It
Yeah,
was
that
my
was your first hearing with her.
Very first hearing with her
after Warren recused herself.
Yeah, after Stasia, and I always say her name wrong. I know it's Stasia Warren, but I like to say it wrong just because, she signed that November 19th, or was it? Yeah, it was the 19th, November 19th, 2024 contempt order that is set in motion the last year of chaos.
An elderly judge that should not have been legally allowed to make any decisions, blindly signed off on a contempt order after verbally saying in court and saying that she can't hold Heather in contempt. Then Justin's attorney filed some paperwork.
Baldacchino of Rice Law Firm
just
in
basically
Daytona just hands
the judge a proposed order, and the judge just signs off on that, completely forgetting about what she heard and told.
And then I
in
get
the
an
hearing.
email 2 days later from her paralegal, Paige Russo. We weren't able to open your financial affidavit. Can you please drop it off to the office? I'm like, the order was already signed off on. So now you're telling me you never even looked at the financial affidavit.
The order for
awesome.
The order
Now
for
I got
contempt.
evidence.
The order for contempt, because you're not paying a ton of money. Yet to be in willful contempt, they have to review your financials.
Yeah.
And consider your financials, because if you truly don't have the ability to pay, which at the time you did not.
Absolutely not. I wasn't even cleared to work at
You were
yet.
unemployed because of the accident. You were
accident.
still getting medical treatment from that, and had no other source of income.
Nope.
Basically, I was covering us 100% at the time.
And that's actually, that whole situation is what triggered me to switch my MBA concentration from human resources to marketing and create my own marketing LLC, because I was still in treatments for the car accident from April 15th of 2024. It was a bad car accident. I'm lucky I didn't get killed.
Yeah, my car was completely totaled. My car was basically sandwiched between the guy that hit Heather from behind,
The Corvette was
car in
underneath
front of
your
us,
car.
and then there was the car in front of Heather crashed into the car in front of that one. So it was a chain reaction.
It was a 45 mile an hour
that guy
impact.
he was good. He was doing more than 45.
Yeah. Well,
he claimed
the speed limit.
he claimed his brakes didn't work on a nearly brand new Corvette.
Yeah.
So.
But no, before you arrived on scene, he was underneath your car.
Yeah.
And then without, common sense says you wait because you don't know what you just did.
No.
You wait until EMS.
No, the guy he was ready to drive away.
He put it in reverse and pulled out from under and then dropped.
He literally tried to drive away while the cops were there, and all of his airbags had blown.
Yeah.
So
it's just this contempt order has caused chaos in my life for almost a year now, because it's almost 1 year since it was signed. And it is basically I'm a victim of the Title IV problem.
Yeah, and not only, and so the crazy part is, and we didn't know this at the time. Honestly, had we known it at the time and presented it, then Serena would have corrected the issue and filed whatever she had to file. But the reality is, to enforce child support orders in the state of Florida, when the order comes from out of state, it must be properly registered under Florida Statute 81 something.
Yeah, UIFSA.
It is different from the child custody statutes. So if you have an order that has both, you actually have to register it under both statutes. Yours was not registered under the child support statute.
Literally, DIN number 1 that Mary Jane Nettles filed August 7th of 2023.
Volusia County, Circuit 7, the Florida Department of Revenue
is committing fraud.
Are literally violating Florida state law because they are enforcing an order that is not registered for enforcement.
Mary Jane Nettles, my attorney, her cover sheet literally has check boxes. And one of them is monetary, and then one of them is just parental.
No.
Okay? So all she checked was the parental and then non-monetary. So Justin's attorney, Serena Baldacino, failed to ever, at any point, register that 3-page Illinois order under UIFSA for monetary. So what they're doing is fraud.
So right now, it's basically in the hands of the 5th District Court of Appeals to actually look at what happened in the case.
And my first appeal is
what
just
the
sitting.
actual Florida state law is. and make a decision. Now it sits because they have 6 months before they actually have to make a decision. And actually there's no definitive time when they have to make it. Usually they make a decision within 6 months, 180 days.
Yeah.
So
I'll be in Illinois appellate court before then. Back to Jessica and Tanoa's tour.
we did get sidetracked.
They have what's called a citizen report survey. And the link will be in my YouTube channel, as well as I'll add it into the comments of this Facebook Live so everyone can click on it. If you have not already, please fill out that citizen report survey. It basically is telling Jessica where the hotspots are in the country. And then please share that Google form with everyone local to your area, because the more people that fill out that form, the more Jessica can find the hot spots. Now, she came to Volusia because quite a few of us filled out that form, and it was a blaring red flag that Volusia County Circuit 7 is a hot spot.
I mean, it sounded like you guys had one of the largest get-togethers of parents that Jessica's come across.
We were the largest group thus far, and they're only going to get bigger. Yeah. The more people talk about her videos, share her videos, fill out that citizen report survey, the larger these groups at the county commissioner meetings are going to get. So, the meeting on Tuesday definitely kind of set the precedent, I think, for moving forward with what she wants to do with this tour. And I am 110% behind her. That woman is a powerhouse. And I told Jessica, I'm like, you need to get in the White House, or, at least something in DC, congresswoman something. She's got the tenacity and the patience to be in a role like that.
Yeah, and the whole time that she's traveling around the country advocating and
for other families,
supporting other families and pushing forward with her efforts. She has her own case going on.
Yeah.
I know
this was all started because her kids were just taken out of the blue, just like mine were, just literally kidnapped. So I'll put the Google form link up in both the YouTube, so it's on the podcast platforms, as well as in this Facebook Live. So please fill it out if you have not already. Share. The more we can get this out on all the social media platforms, the more data we can get. And as a scientist, I love data, so let's get that done so we can help each other.
Just one of the
nation.
last things related to what speaking at Volusia County and with Jessica and all of that. Everybody that we met that spoke, you have invited them onto the podcast.
Yes.
So we're gonna.
I want to have a special pre-recorded Zoom episode where all of us talk about how we felt in the moment. Because I know for me, I was shaking. I was physically shaking. I was holding my kids. One of the very last photos I took of them, all four together, lined up on the little crossover bridge in Fox Lake, Illinois. We were all happy because District 114 had brought the kids back physically in person. They weren't doing virtual school anymore.
That was just a month or two before they were taken.
Not even. Less than 2 weeks before they were kidnapped from Kitty Cottage. So I was holding the 8x10 of all four of my kids, that a photo I took. And you could see my hand shaking.
And you can, if you look at the kids' faces in the photo, you can tell there was no reason to separate them from their mother at all.
Absolutely not.
So.
No. If as a public speaker who has literally given speeches in front of many mayors, several governors now as a scientist, I was incredibly nervous because for the first time in my life, I'm talking to the public and these Volusia County commissioners about my personal situation with my children and what my children and I are going through. And it brought on a whole new level of emotions for me as a public speaker. So I definitely want to give everyone a spotlight to talk about how they felt in the moment. Was it empowering? Were you fearful? Did it feel good to get it off your chest? How has that public speaking event helped you, because I guarantee there's going to be more. We are definitely
yeah.
going to go back.
Yeah. And speaking of public speaking, you have another thing coming up.
I do.
So you have actually, Heather has been invited to travel to Washington, D.C. with Mark Ludwig
And his
his team, specifically to address members of Congress to lobby on or to speak on behalf of Title 4D reform, which anybody that's new to the family court issues, Title 4D of I believe it's of the Social Security Act, or it's of the Medicaid Act, something.
Yeah, so
is-
it was
is
created
what-
in 1975.
It is what allows for states to siphon federal funding for every child they kidnap
Yeah.
and place into the system.
Yeah. And so that is why CPS investigators have a quota. They have a sales quota.
Yeah,
Like they're
And,
literally selling children.
I mean, this is
the more children they take from their families,
You know,
the
we're
more
not-
money they get from the
we're-
federal government
we're
through
not-
Title 4D.
We're not making this up. I mean, this is nationwide. You talk to there, you can just go on YouTube and search for it, and you're going to get a trove of videos of retired and former CPS workers from across the country, and almost every single one of them is going to point out that they had quotas that they had to, remove X number of kids each month. And not only did they have to remove them, they have to keep them in the system.
Yep.
And that goes for the CPS workers and the guardians ad litem, because the guardian ad litems, they get paid because the kids are in the system, and they can say, oh, we have to represent the kid. Oh, no, it's not appropriate for them to return home yet.
And then as the state adopts them out, which is where
they
the
get
selling,
adoption credits.
where
and-
the selling comes in, they sell the children to new adopted parents. The states
one of
get a kickback
the,
from the federal government for adopting them out.
One of the mothers
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
It is legal child trafficking.
one of the mothers that spoke at the Volusia County Council meeting, her daughter was taken. Her daughter was Isabella, and they had very quickly told her that she was never getting her back, and she was getting put up for adoption. And she has been fighting. That mother has been fighting for 5 years.
Yeah,
so
same amount.
just as long as you.
Is the exact same amount of time as me. And her story is very similar to mine as well, where the child was in, I believe, New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, New York. And then Florida dragged the child back down.
Well, the family was originally from New York. They had moved to Florida, and DCF got involved at some point in Florida. Everything was dropped. The family moved back to New York, and
then they go up there,
DCF
extradite
worker,
her,
the
and
guardian
then
ad
drags
litem,
that child back down.
actually went up and took them back to Florida.
So another similar but different story. Yeah. It's just disturbing how similar our stories are. So that
with your
that
Washington
leads me,
trip,
yes, that leads me to the Washington D.C. trip. I've already booked my flight, and I already have a hotel roommate at the Holiday Inn. And then we have a busy day November 4th. So I'm going to be flying in Monday, November 3rd after I'm teaching for the day. So I'll work a full day on Monday and then fly up there.
And just for people who may not know, who is Mark Ludwig?
He is from St. Louis, Missouri, and he was affected by the lack of laws in Missouri for 50-50 custody. So he lost a lot of time with his own son, and because of that, he started really advocating for 50-50 custody in every single state.
Yeah, and so he's
Florida
actually
was one of them.
He's actually essentially rescible for lobbying the Florida legislature to change the laws in Florida
Shared parenting laws,
to get it. So here in Florida, this is the
50-50.
mind-numbing part, right? If Heather's case originated in Florida, the starting point would have been automatic 50-50 equal custody between mom and dad. But because it was the Illinois court that issued the order, even though they didn't have jurisdiction to legally issue it.
No, neither one of us were residents of Illinois. So why would they sign an order?
They made it 100% and 0%, and Florida's just sitting here la, 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 la. We didn't hear 50-50. We don't know what 50-50 is. We can't change anything.
You don't exist. We're going to treat you like
There
you're
hasn't
dead.
been a substantial
oh, but by
change.
the way, you have to be Justin Serlick's ATM.
Yeah.
But you don't get to even talk to your kids on the phone
what
on their
are-
birthdays like today.
Yeah.
This is 5th birthday that I've missed of my daughter Bianca Elizabeth Serlick. 5th birthday. I missed her 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now 2025. Thanks, Justin Serlick. I'm so glad that you're holding my children hostage while stealing my teacher's pay. So Mark has created this training program on his website, St. Louis, St. Louis Mark, I believe is his website. I'm going to put up his website link.
Any
like
links
everything else.
that we mention, any groups that we mention, Heather will have all of the
Yeah.
links in the final.
So he's got
description.
2 different training programs on his website. You can do a really intensive training program, which is like, I think, $300 to $400, or you can do the $30 a month, which is the legislative team that he's training people to, basically the proper way to address politicians, the proper way to speak to them, a Democrat versus a Republican. It is a lot of useful information.
It goes beyond, it's not just how to talk to the federal House of Representatives
It
and
goes
senators.
into a deep dive on the history of Title 4D.
But it also, the advice or the instruction on how to talk to your local politicians and state level politicians is pretty much universal, and it's really good advice. My background is I have a degree in political science, and from the time I was in college, there were several big time politicians. Senator Elizabeth Dole actually launched her Senate campaign at my college in the gymnasium. The Pat McCrory, he was the mayor of the city of Charlotte. He was actually a graduate of my political science program. We had the same poli-sci, faculty advisor.
Did you ever think that you'd be in a relationship with someone that was going to be going to DC for Title 4D reform? Isn't that funny how that worked out?
Didn't even know what Title 4D was until now.
Poli-sci major.
But I mean, the what they're saying and the how they're building up their team to be able to effectively lobby and advocate for the needed changes. Title 4D reform is just it is a major part of the family court system, but it's a minor change in it's just one part. I don't want to say minor. It's one part of a much larger set of changes that need to occur.
Yeah.
Title 4D will hopefully cut off the funding supply.
Right.
And, when you don't have that pool of federal funding, all of a sudden these quotas to, keep a ton of kids in are going to disappear because now you're having to use state funding. So the state's only going to pay when they truly need to remove, kids from households where there's truly a danger.
Situations where they should be removed.
Not where they're just, we didn't like the way mom looked at us today, so we're just going to take all the kids.
Right. Yeah. So Tuesday, November 4th is a very busy day. We have a reception that we're going to be joining Mark for. That is going to be really cool.
That's at the Capitol
Hill Club.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty prestigious and well-respected reception. So I am super excited to see who I can meet there. And here's the thing, guys. Yes, we are still in a government shutdown. But that does not mean that we cannot get things accomplished while we're there. There's still going to be senators in the Capitol area. There's still going to be House reps. There's people that we can talk to. And then that means that we would probably, where we normally only have like a 5 to 10 minute window to talk to them because they're jettisoning all over the place. Now we might have more time, so we can focus on more of the issues.
If I had to make a prediction, I'm going to guess they're going to pass a budget, get the government reopened on November 3rd.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. It's, who knows what's going on. But We're going
But
to
I
make the
know-
best of it regardless, and it's going to be
But
fun.
you have
I have been to DC before. I went.
you have really been looking forward to this. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been for a while now, really since you started
I've been
getting
saying I'm going to get
since you've
myself to
started-
Washington
since
DC.
you've
I don't know
started
how, but I'm
getting-
going to get there.
Since you've started getting loud and vocal in public with telling your story, you have had it in your mind that you will be getting to DC at some point.
Hello.
She's a shoulder cat.
Yeah,
And,
so
here you are.
I have been to DC. I got to go there on my 8th grade field trip. Mr. Saxton was our social studies teacher that went with us. So I got to do the White House tour. I got to see our Declaration of Independence. I went to the Smithsonian.
And then-
went up the National Monument on a day where the elevator wasn't working. So we literally walked up the staircase. That was fun.
And then when you get back from Washington, D.C., we've got a couple more public events, not necessarily direct public speaking events, but we've got a couple more events that are going to be loaded with politicians. So through my job, I'm actually a table sponsor for a event hosted by the Daytona Chamber of Commerce. It is a charity event. It's the one table event. So we're going to be going to that in November. And then I've got the Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce where I'm on the board. We have our annual dinner. And you went to that with me last year. And there was basically, it was a room of every prominent business owner and politician in the Southeast Volusia County area, Port Orange, South Daytona, Daytona.
Yeah, and then we have, what is it, Saturday, November 8th. Yes. So Saturday, November 8th, Dee Warblun is hosting Karen Dosani and with After Awareness. Dana with Survivor Center will be there. I will be there with my nonprofit, Justice for the Serlick Children.
This is essentially the event from last year where it was where the
reality check
glass was broken and you realized you were not alone.
No.
So this, I know we've talked about this before, but this event is a fundraiser for After Awareness. It is a charity night.
Which After Awareness is about educating people about legal abuse, judicial abuse, however, whatever term you want to call it.
Legal abuse, not necessarily just with family court, but also domestic relations and just
using
court
our
in
courts
general.
as a weapon to hurt another human.
But what happened at that event last year is we just went because I was part of the Chamber of Commerce and they had come to our meeting and asked us to help support them. So several of us from the Chamber of Commerce went, and I had you come with me, and we had no idea what it was going to be like. And then they had several speakers. Dana was one of the speakers. Dee was one of the speakers.
And Dee's story was really what sent me emotionally.
Is every single speaker, as they're starting to tell their own stories, you're sitting there and your jaw is kind of dropped, and you're just like,
because I'm literally hearing my story come out of other people's mouths.
I'm not the only one. And then, by the end of it, you're just full on bawling. People are coming over, hugging you, giving you tissues.
Me their phone number, and I'm
phone
here to
numbers,
support
cards,
you. A lot of business cards, phone numbers in my phone.
And that was really what started you connecting with some of these people, connecting with some of these other organizations, getting some help.
Searching for family court corruption and CPS corruption in the Facebook groups, and then I figured out that there are hundreds of them everywhere.
And it was
I don't know why
shocking.
I never thought to look about that before.
Yeah, so that was last November, so it's been almost a year, and you've just
Actually, no, I think that was mid-October.
Okay,
it was right before Bianca and Tommy's birthday.
But it was
this year. It's in November.
But it was, ever since that night, you have just been realizing, okay, it's time to tell more of my story. It's time to get louder. It's time to help other people.
Do you remember what my New Year's resolution was? I even said it on Facebook.
I should, but I don't. been a wild
I
year.
literally said, and that's what I'm getting at. I literally said 2025 is going to be big. I am getting loud. I'm telling my story, and it's the people that are holding my children hostage are going to get a reality check of just how much I can get accomplished. And look what I've gotten accomplished in less than a year.
You have just first of all, you connected with a bunch of folks. You have
Part of multiple national movements.
You have gotten a bunch of resources to help you with your own case.
A ton of resources I didn't have 1 year ago.
You formed your own nonprofit.
Yep.
Well, actually, you've formed 2 nonprofits and a business.
An LLC. 2 501c3s and an LLC.
And both of your nonprofits, just by the way, congratulations. Both of them are now fully registered and approved, authorized by the IRS.
For tax exempt, yeah.
They're both fully tax exempt. People can make donations.
People donate, it's tax deductible.
Heather is going to have a link. She is asking for donations to help offset some of the travel costs for this upcoming trip.
The reception alone is costly. So I'm looking for donations through my 501c3 nonprofit.
Here's the thing. If you're listening to this, if you want to donate, but it's going to put you in any kind of financial issues, don't.
Yeah.
We don't need the money. This is just trying to, one, allow people to make a charitable contribution to a worthy cause, help offset the travel cost a little bit. But again, we don't want anybody to put themselves in a financial bind just because, you want it to make a donation. But certainly if you have the means and you would like to help support this, 100% the donations are offsetting the travel cost and the reception cost. You will definitely be posting photos of the trip and videos,
absolutely.
but you're not allowed to even have your phone out in the reception.
Yeah. The reception, it's very private.
Apparently, the congressmen and senators don't want photos on the press. So
but there's going to be a lot of photo opportunities, and I'm so excited for this. I feel like is going to set the precedent for the future and where I want to go with my nonprofit dedicated to my children. And then I'm flying back Wednesday morning simply because the reception goes kind of late. I do not want to miss any of it. That's the whole point of going, is to talk to these congressmen and women.
There was no midnight flights.
Right. There was no midnight flights.
Coming back to any Central Florida airport.
I'm flying back Wednesday morning. So I'm leaving Monday night, flying back Wednesday morning. I already have a substitute teacher for my classroom and everything. So I'm just super excited to be able to be a voice for so many people that are in my position where they are being forced to be ATMs for the other parent while the other parent holds the children literally hostage. That's how you need to look at it. The children are being held hostage, and the child support is the ransom.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But in your case, you are paying, and you're still not getting any contact
60% of my teacher's paycheck is going straight to Justin Serlick now.
What we do know is
illegally.
Justin and his family continue to lie to the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got your daughter Bianca. Here's the thing. We get messages every once in a while, and there's no way to know for sure where they're coming from.
Right.
So you got some text messages the other day from a phone number that you've gotten messages from before.
Yeah.
And it supposedly was your daughter Bianca.
We know that Mary Serlick and Laura Stiles pretend to be people they're not.
Yeah.
But they
create fake profiles. But this seemed like it was coming from a 13-year-old.
As a public school teacher teaching 9th through 12th grade, the grammar was definitely in line with Gen A and a child that plays Roblox.
Yeah.
So unless Mary Serlick or Laura Stiles are learning Roblox lingo, I feel very strongly it was at least one of my children.
Yeah.
My father has the entire texting history. I printed it out and emailed it to him, so my father was able to read it, and even my father was like, this is highly inappropriate for a 14-year-old. So my children are absolutely being lied to, and that is child psychological abuse. It is, parental alienation. There's many terms
it's basically
for it,
they've been lied to enough that they, to some extent, have turned against you because they don't know any better.
Exactly.
They think you're the worst person on earth because they've been told that you just left them.
The very last conversation I ever had with Bianca Elizabeth was December 6th of 2021. I was in my RV at the Nova Family Campground here in Port Orange, Florida. And Bianca and my other children were at Mary and Ira Serlick's house here in Port Orange, Florida. So I was literally like 5 blocks away from my children on this Zoom video because they were refusing to allow me to see my children in person. And the Illinois court, while that dependency case was open, was requiring me to have weekly Zoom videos.
Yeah, and
because
as soon as
my
that was
attorney and
closed-
I started complaining, why can she not see and speak to her children through Zoom? But then we figured out that Mary Serlick was controlling the entire meetings. So, or it would be Justin sitting off to the side, and my kids would kind of keep looking off camera. It was so obvious they were being controlled and being told what to say.
The one Zoom that you did have with Charlie for his birthday that your attorney had
Here in
negotiated with here in Florida, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
During that, you could hear some voices off camera.
Yeah. So the very last thing that Bianca Elizabeth ever said to me, and at the time she was 10 years old, she had just turned 10. So imagine a 10-year-old child saying this to you. Grandma Mary told us that you gave us up for adoption in Illinois, and that's why Dad has us and we're living with his parents.
And it's all lies. You never gave the kids up for adoption.
If I gave them up for adoption, that means I wouldn't be paying child support.
No. That's
how that works. If you let go of all parental rights, that means you no longer see or speak to the child again. You are not their parental legal guardian. And you also have your child support, if you ever were ordered to pay, terminated because you adopted them. So, Bianca, when you listen to this and watch this someday, this is what's going on.
You never willingly gave them up.
Absolutely not.
You never voluntarily gave them up.
Absolutely not. They were stolen and kidnapped from Kitty Cottage Daycare at 5 p.m. October 8th of 2020.
You have hundreds of text messages and emails and thousands of pages of court documents at this point that you literally, from the moment Elizabeth Tevis showed up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Here's the thing, guys. Don't mess with someone who's been in human resources and payroll and taxes since 2000. Our job literally requires us to document everything.
But
everything. We keep every email. We CC everybody. We do reg receipts. We keep everything.
When your case started, it started very similar to a lot of other people in that, Child Protective Services shows up, makes allegations, ultimately takes your kids away, and then you're told you have to do everything on this list if you ever want to see them again. And you did everything on that list.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you'd complete the stuff on that list, they would change the list.
They would add more. They were constantly moving the goalposts. And this is what they do to everybody.
And then they would change caseworkers. And the new caseworker would tell you, well, the old caseworker said you didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally have text messages to this day still physically on my phone because every time I upgrade my phone in the last 5 years, I transfer all of my previous text messages to that new phone. So I always have them readily available if for some reason I need them. And there is a software you can get that downloads every single text message, and then you can actually save it as a PDF file. And so that's what I did with that phone number that we believe to be Bianca Elizabeth. That is now saved as a PDF, and that will be submitted as evidence in Florida Circuit 7 with my new judge.
Yeah, that along with a copy of the letter you got. The the language in the handwritten letter and
Yeah.
then these text messages.
She
just
literally
speaks.
is saying, if you ever try to kidnap me, I will kill you. My
Justin,
14-year-old daughter is literally saying, if you ever try to kidnap me, I will kill you.
Which means Justin and his family have told her that
Exactly.
you were going to kidnap her.
Exactly.
Which couldn't be further from the truth. If
Exactly.
you were going to kidnap her, you wouldn't be trying
No
to fight in
14-year-old
court.
says something
Yeah,
like that.
so
That is not, I don't
it's,
care who you
yeah,
are. That is not normal
No,
thought
it's-
process,
it's-
behavior.
it is-
that
it-
is
it-
that is
it lines
evidence
up-
of her being abused.
It fully lines.
is all that is.
It fully lines up with the email you received from Mary Serlick, Justin's mother, Bianca's grandmother, where Mary Serlick basically told you that she was making it her mission in life to make sure your kids hated you for the rest of
Yeah.
their lives.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not
Anyways,
to get
so
bogged down anymore. We kind of went pretty dark there.
So DC, the DC trip is going to be
good.
productive. It's going to be a learning experience for me. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of something much bigger with Mark Ludwig's team.
Now,
So I'm so excited for
next
this.
on the agenda for tonight, on our last podcast, we had talked about Heather's hearing that she had in Illinois Circuit 19.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we talked about how, we were really viewing it as a win.
Yeah.
Because it allowed Heather to
gave
actually
me-
file and get into Illinois District 2 Appellate Court.
Yeah, it gave me
So,
the ability to file this
you
notice of appeal.
Officially appealed, and you officially have a appellate case number. And it's wild seeing the differences between Florida and Illinois in the court system.
Illinois definitely loves to waste resources.
People who think Florida
Is bad?
is bad. Illinois,
see the
Illinois
hoops
does.
we need to jump through.
Illinois does stuff that is just asinine.
Yeah.
A waste of time and money.
Notice of filing.
You have to file your appeal, and then you have to file a notice to notify them that you filed an appeal.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
And the clerk even said, it's just a formality.
Yeah.
Why does that formality exist?
Yeah.
And the only thing Pete and I could come up with is when you file this notice of appeal, and these two documents we're discussing, of course, will be scanned and be a Google Doc link so you can review them yourself, because I'm all about truth and transparency. So you file this notice of appeal, and here's the other really good thing that I was not aware of, that I just learned about. So I had printed and bound, spiral bound, 2 different books. So this book, I have no idea if you guys can see that clearly.
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
And then the bigger Bible is the Guide to Illinois Civil Appellant Procedures. So I have a very similar book printed for Florida Appellant Court. So, I'm reading through these and I'm looking, it literally gives step 1, step 2, step 3. And then it literally says under step 1, within 7 days after filing a notice of appeal, which I've done, you must serve the notice of appeal on the other parties, which I did the moment I e-filed it. I emailed it to all parties. So not only did I mark e-file and serve, but I also personally served it to their personal emails. And then 2, file a notice of filing. File a notice of filing, that's the word, with clerk of the appellant court, and include proof of service that says you have sent copies of the notice of appeal to the other parties or their lawyers. So basically, come to find out, when I file this notice of appeal, even though I'm saying I served them, the appellant court does not serve them with...
No, because what happens is you file the notice of appeal in Circuit 19. Circuit 19 forwards it to the appellate court.
Right.
The appellate court gives a case number and just sends you a letter with a case number.
Right.
So it doesn't share the case number.
Yeah. So basically, I got this emailed to me this week. So a lot has happened this week. I got this, and actually, I think it was the 23rd. So it was the day after our Volusia County Commissioners meeting. So Tuesday was the Commissioners meeting. Wednesday, I get this emailed to me halfway through the day. And it is, it's my case number, which is, and this is Illinois Appellant Court 2nd District in Ellyn, Illinois, which is not Lake County, it's Kane County. So I have managed to finally get this out of Lake County, Illinois. And then in my case number or my appeal number is 2-25. So second district, so 225, which means the year it was filed, and then -0481. So my case number specifically is 0481 because everyone has the 2-25 for 2025.
Which is kind of wild that there's only
481.
cases so far this year.
Yeah.
And we're 10 months in.
Yeah.
And you're Lake County, Illinois, and this is for
Lake County, Illinois likes to do
well, I was gonna say Lake County,
non-final, non-appealable
Lake-
orders.
Lake County, Illinois has a bigger population than Volusia County here in Florida. But,
absolutely.
But for District 2, there's what, 3 or 4 counties that feed into that district for the appellate court?
I'm not sure. I think they cover multiple.
I mean, obviously there's at least 2, but
Yeah.
if not more than that.
But anyways, this letter says the notice of appeal in the above cause was received and filed in this office today. This appeal has been docketed as number 2-25-0481. Pursuant to Illinois Supreme Court Rule 312, an appellant must file a completed docketing statement together with proof of service within 14 days of the filing of notice of appeal. The docketing statement must have an attached copy of any written request to the circuit clerk or the court reporter for preparation of the record on appeal. Generally, when filing the docketing statement, an appellant must pay a $50 filing fee. However, if you're indigent and unable to pay, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm just going to pay the $50 fee because I don't want to deal with any more extra work than I have to.
Yeah,
so.
it's kind of insane, the fee waiver affidavit process that you have to go
Is
through
much
in
more
Illinois.
complicated in Illinois than Florida.
They force you into a hearing with a judge.
Yeah. So that is what has happened thus far with my Illinois Circuit 19 petition for relief and vacature of that 3-page order that is allowing Justin Serlick to hide my children. I was not present. It was ex parte. It violated a plethora of my constitutional rights, my due process rights. It ordered me to pay $785 a month to Justin, and then in that same paragraph said that I never gave them a financial affidavit. So where did the $785 come from? We actually started investigating. We figured out that it was expenditures that he listed on his financial affidavit. Yet in February 28th of 2022, the same judge, Marnie Slavin, had ordered me in an actual order to transfer the case to Florida because I was no longer a Illinois resident and Justin was not a resident for over 2 years. So why would I give them a financial affidavit when in February I was ordered to transfer it to Florida? Why would I give them anything?
And here's the thing too, because some people have questioned, Heather's assertion that Illinois didn't have jurisdiction because the case was opened in Illinois, and typically,
but neither of us were legal residents of
typically,
Illinois.
in most cases, according to the UCCJEA, when people are, residents of a state and they open a family child custody case in that state retains jurisdiction throughout the course of that. But, and there's a big but, there are things that cause them to lose jurisdiction. And in your case, according to Illinois state law, what caused them to automatically by process of law.
We're not even talking about UCCJEA, and this will be my
This
appeal.
is actually, they lost jurisdiction through a provision of the Illinois Marriage Act, and that was once the children and both parents moved more than 25 miles beyond the border of the state of Illinois, they lose jurisdiction.
Jurisdiction.
End of story.
So, yeah, I mean, that 3-page order was the Serlicks buying my children
so in February,
from Illinois Circuit 19.
In February, you had the Circuit 19 judge in Illinois acknowledge that nobody was in Illinois anymore.
Yeah.
That you were all in Florida. She told you to transfer the case to Florida. In that moment, the court acknowledged that nobody was present in Illinois. So the court acknowledged that they truly didn't have jurisdiction anymore, or they should have acknowledged that. And that should have been the very last thing that court ever issued.
Yeah.
The next thing should have just been could have been a UCCJEA conference between a Florida court and the Illinois court.
That's what should have automatically happened.
But that's not what happened.
No, because they were stealing my children from me.
You have Judge Marnie Slavin, who has so many issues, when she was serving in family court.
Murder-suicide in Buffalo Grove, which is what triggered her to be silently removed from family court.
Yeah, 6 months after she signed the order in your case, she... There's speculation, if you go on to some of the investigative reporting in Illinois, that she Well, she lifted a protective order against somebody, and then that person went and basically killed himself and his entire family. And
Well,
then
he killed his family and then killed himself. It was a murder-suicide.
but then when they went back during the investigation and were looking at the court documents, there was very suspicious handwritten
there is
notes
absolutely docket
that
manipulation.
seemed to be added after the fact.
So something that we talked about in Jessica's last Sunday meeting, because Jessica Saxton has been holding Zoom calls on Sundays, and, just talking about her tour and where she's going next and what the game plan is. So one of the things that was brought up that I wanted to bring up, but someone else also brought up in that meeting, was docket manipulation is a federal crime. Yeah. There's no way around it. It is a crime to manipulate court documents. And so many, especially in my Illinois Circuit 19 case, 20F422, there are so many handwritten modifications on these documents. And then sections that were squeezed in after the judge signed it. It's so obvious it was manipulated.
And then you have stuff
they're not even trying to hide it. It's obvious.
Then you have stuff that shows up in the docket 9 months later, dated as if it was filed on time. So this is as a third party looking in at some of this the documents. Okay, in my profession, the regulations I have to follow and the documentation I have to follow, it blows my mind that court officials, whether it's the judge, clerks, paralegals, whatever, the fact that they get away
there's no oversight
with some of this stuff is just mind blowing.
There's no oversight.
But
I'm going to have fun with my Illinois appellate case because I'm going to be throwing everyone under the bus. And that I'm a writer. I'm going to write. I'm going to call everybody out in writing in that public record. Generally,
one of the benefits of appellate court is it's primarily focused on the documents. So you don't have to, there's not back and forth, in-person hearings. The judges
The law is 110% on my side.
They may, ask for oral
there's
arguments.
No way around it.
They may ask for oral arguments, but generally everything's focused on the written brief. And so that's basically the next thing we're working on is to get that done. I know.
Well, I've also got my third Florida Circuit 7 appellant case.
Which you just got the record today.
Just got the record on appeal, synopsis of it. And then typically once I get that in the mail, usually I don't have the exact date, but I've got 3 appellant cases in District 5 Court of Appeals in Daytona, Florida. For Florida Circuit 7. And the first one is still sitting. I did my initial brief. Justin was supposed to submit his reply brief. He never did. So I then filed a notice of him not filing. So now it's on the record that I am fully aware that he had 30 days to submit that reply brief and he never did, which means under Florida law, they're supposed to just only look at my argument and make a ruling on that. But of course, it's just sitting. Yeah. Then there is the second case that I just recently submitted my initial brief on, and I think we're just now at that 30-day time frame.
Yeah,
I have a calendar on my desk that shows me all the time frames that Justin has so much time to submit a reply brief. It's within 30 days of me submitting my initial. And of course, I haven't gotten anything from him on that second appellant case. And then I now have the third one. And those two kind of revolve around my driver's license. Alan Holt attempting to suspend my driver's license. Yeah,
and basically Florida not actually having legal authority to enforce
under
because the order was never registered for enforcement.
No.
So
they seem to think that I don't know the laws, and I do.
Now we've covered a lot. We're now hitting the time just over an hour. I know you wanted to address your daughter directly. Are you ready to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's bring her picture up. She does not look like this anymore. I barely know what she looks like because she's been hidden from me for 5 years. But this photo that we're showing you. Is it up yet or?
Yeah, it's what you're looking at on Facebook is delayed.
Okay. All right. So this photo of her in her Cub Scout uniform, This was actually the very last photo I took of her before she was kidnapped. Pete, does she look like she's abused or unhappy?
No, she looks like she is one of the happiest children on earth. She looks so excited to be participating in scouting activities. I know she watched her older brother and sister go through scout. I mean, she was raised as a scout baby, essentially.
So Bianca was born October 25th of 2011. Ariana and Tommy got really involved with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts in 2015. So Bianca was 4 years old when Tommy joined PAC 179. So PAC 179 of Ingleside, Illinois, quite literally raised Bianca. And so as a family, we were very involved with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. So she was at the time this photo was taken, she would have been a brownie crossing over into juniors in Girl Scouts. She was dual enrolled. She always did everything that Tommy did in PAC 179, but she didn't get to actually earn credit for it. She didn't earn the badges. She didn't earn the pins and all of that. And then the year before this was taken, BSA started opening up to girls, starting with Cub Scouts, and then the following year, Boy Scouts, because they're two different levels. So Bianca was the very first girl to join PAC 179. So she has what's called a founder patch. She is a founder of the girls joining. Ariana and I both have the same thing as well, but for Boy Scouts. And she was so excited because the shirt she's wearing is actually her older brother Tommy's shirt when he was in PAC 179. And then they came out with these adorable Squorts. So that's actually a pair of shorts, but it's got this little fabric flap to make it look like it's a skirt. So she was so excited because she's a girly girl. I have no idea if she still is, but she was a girly girl at the time I took this photo. So this Cub Scout meeting on a Tuesday night, so it would have been Tuesday, October 6th, I believe was the exact date. And I'm just rambling this off the top of my head. But they had just started the whittling chip card. And what that is the scouts have to demonstrate that they know how to use
it's your license to use a pocket knife at Cub Scouts.
Yeah, exactly. So she watched Tommy earn his, she watched Ariana earn hers.
And then once you go to Boy Scouts, it's a totem chip.
Yeah.
One of the few things I remember from my time in Boy Scouts.
So she was, the reason she's beaming in this photo is she was super excited to get started on the whittling chip. And what PAC 179 does is, and I'm sure other Cub Scout packs, they give them a bar of soap. And then they are...
I remember.
Yeah, they're taught
soap.
how to carve it and use it properly and safely. And then they're taught the rules that you never pointed at anyone. So she was so excited to start earning her whittling chip. 2 days later, Thursday, October 8th, 2020, is when her younger brother, Charlie, were at Kitty Cottage Daycare after school in their after school program. And Waukegan, Illinois DCFS investigator Jessica Lyman had gone to Stanton Middle School to talk to Ariana and Tommy and then talk to me and had just literally asked if I could follow her over to Kitty Cottage for a wellness check on Bianca and Charlie. I'm reluctant, but I'm like, okay, fine. It's just a wellness, it's just a check-in, blah, 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 just to make sure they're safe. No problem. They're in an expensive daycare in Fox Lake, Illinois. So obviously they're fine. So I drive Ariana and Tommy over in my van and I go into Kitty Cottage and I'm immediately pulled off to the side into a small room, like a tiny room that I'd never been in before, even though my kids have gone to daycare there for over 2 years. I had no reason to ever go in this tiny room. But they pulled me into the tiny room, then pulled Bianca and Charlie into the tiny room. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting text messages from Ariana in my van saying, "Mom, why are there cops here? I thought this was just a wellness check for Bianca and Charlie." Yeah. So they had 3 cop cars. Well, I'm inside Kitty Cottage with Bianca and Charlie kind of cornered, and I will never forget this day for the rest of my life. But Bianca was clinging to my arm, freaking out. Charlie, because he was only 3 at the time, was wrapped around my leg like a baby koala bear freaking out. Mommy, what's going on? Mommy. And I'm overwhelmed. I'm freaking out. I've got Ariana texting me saying there's cop cars outside. So I'm like, oh my God, what? My kids are going to be taken right now. I instantly in the moment had this massive, overwhelming realization that they were purposely putting me in a position that if I so much as even raised my voice,
they'd use it against you.
I would be walked out of there in handcuffs because that was in a daycare, ages 6 weeks to 12 years.
And they did this in front of a bunch of other parents.
Oh, absolutely. Kids, parents, the daycare teachers, the director, they all witnessed all of this go down. My kids were terrified. So if you remember on Tuesday when Michelle was talking about how her 14-year-old, which guess how old Ariana was when this happened?
Yeah,
14. So when Ariana was kidnapped from Kitty Cottage Daycare in broad daylight in front of everyone.
Just like when Michelle's daughter was kidnapped from the ice rink.
Exactly.
By a dozen sheriff's deputies.
Yeah, with a ton of Volusia County sheriffs. And Michelle is telling this story about how traumatized her daughter was. I'm like, you're literally telling my children and I story from October 8th, 2020.
Yeah,
I am hearing my children and I story coming out of Michelle's mouth at that moment.
The crazy part to just, Michelle, she actually has posted, there's video of when the deputies were at the ice rink taking her daughter.
It's scary. There is no reason her daughter needed to be hauled out of that ice rink like that. Like she's a criminal. That's what when I first watched that video, that's the impression I got. Like she had murdered someone and they were hauling her away.
There was half a dozen deputies or more. I mean,
that is trauma for life. Michelle absolutely has, and her daughter has a lawsuit.
Didn't mean to get sidetracked because you specifically did want to address Bianca.
So anyways, so this is quite literally, this photo was taken 2 days before she was kidnapped from Kitty Cottage Daycare. So this is the very last photo I have of my daughter, Bianca Elizabeth. She was just about to turn 9 in this photo. So this was like 2 weeks before her 9th birthday. So she's 8 years old in this photo. So I really want to address her specifically in this video.
Just look directly at the camera and talk to her.
Yep. So Bianca Elizabeth, it's been 5 years since I took that photo of you. And in my mind, all I have memories of is those last moments with you. I can't even imagine what you've been through. You did not have the same path that your older sister Ariana had in Des Plaines. You were shuffled away with Charlie to someone named Miss Courtney in Oswego, Illinois, and you practically disappeared from my life. The very first in-person meeting and only meeting we had about a month and a half after you were taken with Charlie, you had a complete breakdown and were refusing to leave that DCFS office in Glen, Ellyn with Elizabeth Tevis. You were quite literally clinging to me, refusing to put your coat and shoes on, and screaming at the security officer to stop making her go with Elizabeth Tevis of Camelot Care. While Elizabeth Tevis is sitting there recording us and then reporting this to her supervisor, Kayla Davis. And come to find out what she was reporting was the complete opposite of what was happening in the moment. You were refusing to put your coat on. You were refusing to put your shoes on because you did not want to go with that woman. And I don't blame you. It was terrifying for you and Charlie, and it was terrifying for me. The next thing, I have no idea if you're going to remember this or not, but the next thing we know, we are surrounded by Glen Ellyn police officers in that room. And they were basically telling me that if I didn't leave the room and allow Elizabeth Tevis to take you, even though it wasn't me that was upset, it was you, that they were going to arrest me in the moment. So I had no choice but to comply, even though you were quite literally begging me not to let them take you again. I literally tucked my feet under yours behind you, and I was holding your hands and scooting you out the door. And then because I had a handicap placard, my car was right next to the door. in the parking lot where all these officers were watching this unfold and just standing there in silence. You had clung on to my driver's door handle, begging me not to put you in the car with Elizabeth Tebbis. And I had to pry your fingers off my car handle and put you in Elizabeth Tebbis's car. And I will never forget October 8th of 2020 at Kitty Cottage for the rest of my life. I will never forget that meeting where you were begging me not to let her take you again. You kept saying it over and over again, "Mommy, please don't let Elizabeth take me again." Even though Elizabeth wasn't the one that took you the first time, she became Jessica Lyman. And I watched you guys drive away. Well, I sat there and had a complete breakdown in my car and had an hour-and-a-half drive back to Round Lake from Glen, Ellyn, where they forced me to meet you instead of letting me meet you somewhere local. And after that, I never saw you and Charlie again because Elizabeth Tebbis twisted what happened that night and said that I was the one that was causing the problems. So they used that as an excuse to cut off any and all contact. And now that I've heard so many people's stories across this nation, it is so obvious it was because they were trying to break the bond you and I had as a mother and daughter. And then ultimately, you were sold to your non-custodial parent, Justin Serlick, August 11th of 2021. And then Elizabeth Tebbis drove you guys down to Florida, trafficking you across multiple state lines illegally with no due process, violating a plethora of my constitutional rights because I still had legal custody of both of you. I still had full legal custody of all of my children when you were shipped down. So quite literally, the Serlicks bought you from guardian ad litem Kathleen McGee and Judge Christopher Morozin of Illinois Circuit 19. And my attorney was so aware of this that after you guys were shipped down here, he literally told me to get my RV towed down here to Florida as soon as possible and start documenting every attempt to talk and see you and then open a case here in Florida. And that is exactly what I did. My RV has been physically down here since December 6th of 2021. You guys have been down here since August 13th of 2021. And that RV has been down here since, and I have been desperately trying to see and speak to all of you. And it is Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, and Iris Serlick that is holding all of you hostage and lying to you about everything that has happened the last 5 years. I want to tell you that I am so sorry that all of this happened. And I can't even imagine the amount of trauma that you have been through. I've lost 5 years with you. You are such a beautiful young girl that has had your entire life stolen from you, just like your siblings. And I want to wish you, hopefully, a happy birthday. You turned 14 today, and I wish I could see and speak to you. I wish I could be there to help you with your academics. And I wish I could be involved with whatever activities you're involved with. But I can't be because of Justin Serlick, Mary Serlick, and Iris Serlick, and I will continue fighting for my ability to see and speak to you. And I pray that someday you will see just how hard I have been working to get myself back to you, Bianca. I want to give you a little bit of history about your name. I grew up with my grandmother and my mother watching Channel 7 daytime soap operas. All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital. It was literally in that order. All My Children. There is a character named Bianca Montgomery. She is Erica Kane's daughter. And out of all of the actors and actresses in All My Children. Eden Regal, who played Bianca Montgomery, was my favorite actress. So I chose Bianca for your first name, so you are named after Bianca Montgomery of All My Children. Your middle name, Elizabeth, is from one of my favorite book series I read at your age, Sweet Valley Twins and Sweet Valley High. The twins' names were Elizabeth and Jessica. And Elizabeth, her character was very similar to who I was at that age. So I chose Elizabeth as my favorite character from Sweet Valley Twins. So you're named after a soap opera character and a book character, Bianca Elizabeth. I love you so much. I miss you so much. And I am so, so sorry that this has happened to all of you. And I don't even know how I'm going to help you guys work through all of this trauma the last 5 years. But I promise you, I will be there to help you when you are ready. I love you. I miss you. And happy 14th birthday.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. We appreciate your support in this. This has been Heather's podcast, Justice for the Serlick Children podcast. And we're going to leave it at that. So, again, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Have a good night.